Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrible General Health System's Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, welcome back, and we continue to talk about the inductees into the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame for 2022, and I'm joined by a very familiar face, Stan Gravois, who does a great job so much with sports here in the area. And Stan, as we move along, and I said Robert Brunet looked like Fess Parker.
Yes.
But if you look at Thomas Skee Roussel, he sort of looks like Merlin Olsen.
He does. You're right. As I look at that picture up on the monitor, that's exactly who he looks like. They didn't play the same position. Roussel is a linebacker, but he kind of looks like a defensive lineman there. He's the one out of all of our inductees that I didn't know about the most. Mm-hmm. You know, it was nice to understand and kind of hear his story. Graduated from Thibodeau High School in the mid-'60s. Didn't have the opportunity to go to LSU, so decided to go to Southern Miss. He became a Golden Eagle and went out to Hattiesburg and had a terrific career.
Look, there's Merlin Olsen right there.
There you go. Every picture that we see, it reminds me more and more of Merlin Olsen. You're right. He's an all-conference player at Southern Miss, and then does extremely well in those bowls, those sort of classic bowl games. The Blue-Gray Bowl, he was the most valuable player. He played in the Senior Bowl. He gets drafted in the second round by the Washington Redskins, right? Mm-hmm. He plays for Washington for 2 years, very good. Plays every game he plays for the Washington Redskins, but the Redskins need a quarterback. So they got to trade for a quarterback. And he has the probably, I guess, honor of going back and play for his home team, the Saints. Guess who he was traded for? And I know you know the answer to this. I think you know the answer.
For who he was traded for?
Yeah. So who would the Saints have sent as a quarterback up to the Washington Redskins?
Kilmer.
Billy Kilmer.
Yeah.
So Thomas Roussel ends up with the Saints because Washington needs a quarterback. They get Billy Kilmer. They send down Roussel. Roussel plays another 2 years for the Saints. Mm-hmm. Has two pretty good years. Those are the early Archie Manning years.
Billy Kilmer will replace Sonny Jurgensen?
Correct.
Yeah.
He goes up there, replaces Sonny Jurgensen. Unfortunately for Roussel, the Redskins start to see a little bit of success up there. Of course, the Saints didn't see too much success in the 80s. Nonetheless, he has a pretty good career. He wraps up his career, Roussel does, with the WFL, the World Football League, and he plays against our friend Art Cantrell in the World Football League. Wow. Both guys from right here on Bayou Lafourche who are playing against each other, known as a very, very tough linebacker. The only thing I'm a little disappointed at, we know his interceptions. When he played with the Saints, he had 3 interceptions in his 2 years. We don't know his tackles because in those days, the NFL didn't chart defensive tackles. They didn't chart sacks and things like that. So we'll never know exactly how some of those defensive players stood statistically against the guys now.
Well, let me ask you, which brings me to something logistical. We haven't really heard of Robert Bob Brunet or Thomas Skee Roussel, and we've been surrounded by sports. Who finds these people?
They are nominated by the general public between the months of June, which is when the induction ceremony is held. So as soon as that induction ceremony is finished for that year, anyone can induct. Bob Brunet came our way by a gentleman in Bayou Lafourche, who you and I sort of kind of know, Truck Gisclair down there. And, you know, Truck grew up. He's a couple of years younger than Bob. But he said, what a great story. And I was like, tell the story. And he told the story. And I said, you need to induct that guy. Nominate.
Yeah.
So he nominates him. And when he puts him up, and then you go to these voters see his history and go, well, wait a minute, you know. And I got to tell you, some of our voters, you mentioned, you know, earlier, you know, the Don Schwabs of the world, who was in this Hall of Fame, they know these guys.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, you got to get this guy in. So the voters go out and put him in. Skee Roussel, nothing. That was over my head, Martin. I didn't know anything about Skee Roussel. I am so glad that somebody out in the Thibodeau area said, we had a guy at Thibodeau High who was really good and played for the Saints.
But I get it, because as kids in that era, we were all focused on Billy Kilmer. We wanted to meet Billy Kilmer.
Oh, sure.
And they didn't have the marketing they do now, so all the other people were in the shadows.
But you want to know what else is? You mentioned who is the people who tell you about these people if we didn't know them. and they were a little bit older, there's going to be a time, Martin, where you're going to sit there and it's not going to be long from now, and you're going to go, wait a minute, don't forget about such and such. Don't forget about, a friend of ours. Don't forget about a Harry McCullough who played baseball on that next level. You know, don't forget about people like this. And that's what we want to see, because I got to tell you, the generation coming up today, it's not in the front of them. They have so much other stuff that they are into that we don't want them to forget about these people.
Well, that is fantastic. And so, just real quick, Robert Bob Brunet, Arthur Art Cantrell, Coach Kenneth Dixon, Leonard Hughes, Troy Johnson, Thomas Skee, Roussel. You notice that everybody in Lafourche has a nickname?
I did not.
Still to this day, everybody gets a nickname in Lafourche.
Troy might have a nickname. I know his brother they called Blunky.
Troy could be called Lightning.
Yeah, he sure could. I never thought about that. You got a good point.
If you're in Thibodaux, you have a nick. All my cousins who live in Thibodaux have a nickname, and whether it's your abbreviation of your name or, you're going to have a nickname.
You know what? You play professional ball for a couple of years, you can have any name you want, I guess.
Clarence has a nickname, CNN.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Stan, thank you so much, and we appreciate it. Looking forward to this induction Hall of Fame.
Want to remind everybody, it is June 23rd, so save the date, June 23rd.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and so glad y'all are doing this. Makes a lot of people happy.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks for the time, and we always look forward to it. You're there with the crew. That's always an added addition to what we do. So, yeah, we look forward to it again this year.
All right, there you have it. Stan Gravois. I'm Martin Falls. We'll see you later. See you at the banquet.